Good morning. Can you hear this? Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure. I am Pat Wright, Executive Director of the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here today to our house. I really want to tell you a little story, because if anybody knows me, one of the things I firmly am passionate about is collaboration. And I had an opportunity to collaborate with some very important and passionate individuals. And that's how we arrived here today. You know, I was looking at Michael Knight's book as I read it, and I came to a quote at the end that says, "Chance encounters play a prominent role in shaping the course of human lives." Well, today is all about it happened because of a chance encounter. I was invited to a symposium on ACEs put on by the Nicholson Foundation and a few other foundations in New Jersey. And I had the opportunity to sit next to Chris, who you'll meet in a few minutes. And Chris Lusner is now the president of the State Association of Chiefs of Police. And he began to tell me some of the work that he was doing in South Jersey with school districts. And I said, hey, wait a minute. I'm the executive director of the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association, and the work you are doing is outstanding. And we need to have a venue, we need to have a place where we can share this out. And Chris and I made a commitment that night that we were going to make this happen. But it didn't happen just with Chris and I. We then added other people along the way, and I said, well, wait a minute, we need the superintendents to be here too. So Rich Baza, thank you for joining us in supporting this. Rich is the executive director of the New Jersey Association of School Administrators. And last but not least, our friend Gina Hernandez. Gina Hernandez is Senior Vice President, I know, I'm great with titles, of Prevent Child Abuse New Jersey. And Gina came on board and was gracious enough to support a lot of what we're being able to do today. So through this collaboration, we get here today to have some really important conversations about some really significant issues that affect our students in New Jersey every day. With that, I want to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Patricia. I speak pretty loud, so I think everybody will probably be able to hear me. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Chris Lusner. I'm president of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, and we are a proud sponsor for this event. I'm very excited about this symposium and the work law enforcement and education can do together to impact youth in our communities in a positive way and to change lives. The science could not be more clear. We know the root causes of many of the issues we deal with in law enforcement and education. The behavior of a child that leads them into disciplinary issues at school or coming into contact with law enforcement is driven in large part by children being exposed to adverse childhood experiences. Albert Einstein was once asked, if you have an hour to save the world, how would you spend that hour? He replied, I would spend 55 minutes understanding the problem and then 5 minutes solving it. We know the problem. Science is giving us an understanding of the problem like never before, and we can solve the problem together. Our keynote speaker, Mike McKnight, says, build it and share it. I say, let's build it together. I know all of you in this room chose your profession because you wanted to make a difference in people's lives. In my opinion, this work is one of the most important issues we can take on as leaders in our communities, and I'm confident that if you, in your community, put this in practice, you will look back 10 years and you will have made your community safer, your school safer, but more importantly, you will have changed people's lives for the better. I thank all our partners in bringing this symposium to life here today. It is now my pleasure to introduce the New Jersey Attorney General. Governor Phil Murphy announced his intention to nominate Gurbir Grewal to serve as New Jersey's 61st Attorney General on December 2nd, 2017. He was confirmed by the New Jersey Senate and assumed the office on January 16th, 2018. Since assuming office, Attorney General Grewal has focused his attention on protecting the interests of New Jersey residents by expanding affirmative legislation and litigation and strengthening police-community relations, reducing violent crime, and fighting the opiate epidemic. Before becoming New Jersey Attorney General, Grewal served as the Bergen County Prosecutor, the chief law enforcement officer of the most populous county in New Jersey, and home to nearly 1 million residents living in 70 municipalities. As Bergen County Prosecutor, Grewal supervised a staff of 265 personnel and had supervisory authority over approximately 2,700 sworn law enforcement officers across 74 law enforcement agencies. Among the accomplishments during his tenure, he developed and implemented several creative approaches designed to tackle the heroin and opiate crisis, including Operation Helping Hand, a program that offers low-level drug offenders treatment options upon arrest. He also established a community affairs unit to help local police improve police-community relations. From 2010 to 2016, Grewal worked as an assistant U.S. attorney in the criminal division of the United States Office for the District of New Jersey, where he served as the chief economic crimes unit from 2014 to 16 and oversaw the investigation and prosecution of all major white-collar and cyber crimes in the District of New Jersey. He was the lead prosecutor in the United States versus Drinkman, the largest known data breach prosecution in which conspirators participated in a worldwide scheme that targeted major corporate networks and stole more than 160 million credit card numbers, causing millions of dollars in losses. He was also the lead prosecutor in the United States v. Weinstein, a $200 million Ponzi scheme in which the lead defendant was sentenced to 24 years imprisonment. Before becoming a federal prosecutor in New Jersey, Grewal also served as an AUSA in the criminal division of the United States Attorney's Office of the Eastern District of New York from 2004 to 2007, where he was ultimately assigned to the Business and Security Fraud Unit. As an AUSA in the Eastern District of New York, he investigated and prosecuted a wide range of narcotics offenses, white-collar crimes, and terrorism cases. His significant matters included the successful prosecution of 12 men charged with various terrorist activity. In addition to his work as a federal prosecutor, Grewal also worked in private practice, including Howry LLP in Washington, D.C., and at other in Washington, D.C. office and the New York office. Attorney General Grewal graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service from the Georgetown University School of Foreign Service in 1995. He obtained his law degree from College of William and Mary Marshall Wythe Law School in 1999. I have worked with Attorney General Grewal very closely on various public safety issues. He cares very deeply about this state and public safety, and it has been my privilege and honor to work with him. Please join me in welcoming New Jersey Attorney General Gurbir Grewal.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to need a shorter introduction, I think, for future events. You know, I never thought I'd say this as a student, but it really is great, and I could say this as Attorney General, to be in a room full of principals and cops. It's an incredible event that you have organized, and I want to thank Chief Lusner for the invitation, for the introduction. But importantly, I also want to thank him for his incredible leadership on this and so many other important issues as he takes the helm of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police and makes this one of his core priorities. I look forward to working with him shoulder to shoulder to make this part of every police department in this state and to provide whatever resources that we can from the Attorney General's office to help make that a reality. I also want to thank all the organizers of this morning's event, to include the New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association, the New Jersey Association of School Administrators, Prevent Child Abuse New Jersey, and the Chiefs Association. I'm a father of 3 young girls, and last night we celebrated my oldest daughter's birthday. She turned 11. And for birthdays at my house, we have a routine, and it usually starts with me trying to get home on time, and that works most often. And I pick up the pizza on the way home, and my mother bakes a cake and brings it over. We've never really broken from this. We all decorate that cake together. Then we sit down, we have pizza, we play some music, we cut the cake. Before we cut it, we also have another tradition, which we've convinced, and the principals would appreciate this, that there is such a thing as mathematical candles. So we don't go out and like sort of buy new candles every time. For the 11-year-old's birthday, we recycled the 5 candle and the 6 candle. And so in pictures years from now, she's going to think it was her 65th birthday. But in reality, we convinced her it was something that a lot of people do. And then, we enjoy cake and then try to struggle to put 3 sugar high girls to bed. And after I did that last night, I was thinking about this morning's event, and I was thinking about what I would say. And it occurred to me that what I consider a normal routine is not normal for so many kids across this state. I could think of kids in some of our major cities who were not going to bed last night to the sound of music or to laughter, but instead going to bed to the sound of gunshots. And I am certain that there are kids last night in the state who went to bed not seeing their parents come together and laugh with them and celebrate with them and tuck them in, perhaps fighting, and perhaps witnesses to domestic violence, perhaps looking for a place to not be the next victim in that situation. And still other kids, I'm sure, went to bed last night after seeing a horrific overdose or some other sort of police encounter in their neighborhood. And that's normal for so many young people in this state. And those adverse childhood experiences, as we know and as the chief alluded to, have consequences. Those cycles beget cycles of violence. Those cycles lead to more violence and more criminal activity in our communities. We know this. We know that hurt people hurt people. And so the question becomes, how do we work together to break these cycles of violence? And that's how we have to do it. We have to do it together. Educators and law enforcement alike. We have to come together as we are this morning to come up with new strategies in a collaborative way. And for our part, at the Attorney General's office, we've been trying to do that. We've been trying to look at ways in which we can improve our services to all victims, not just adult victims, but also young victims. And as part of that effort, about 8 months ago in February, we brought on board Elizabeth Rubin, who's here this morning, to take a deep dive in our office, to see all the ways in which we touch victims, and to see how we can improve our delivery of those services to victims. And I know I made the right decision because this Wednesday morning, I flew down to Houston for a law enforcement funeral, and it was a 6 a.m. flight, and I was totally exhausted getting on that flight, and somebody tapped me on my shoulder and said, "General," and having traveled in public before, I knew this could have gone one of like 3 ways. They either hated something I just did, maybe they liked something I did, or they wanted to report something they saw. But this gentleman said to me, he goes, "I'm really pissed at you." I said, "Well, why is that?" He goes, "You took E from us." And so that reaffirmed to me that we did the right thing in bringing on Elizabeth Rubin. I want you to stand up just so everyone sees you and to thank you for all the incredible work that you're doing with us. Elizabeth comes to us for having done victim-centered work in Newark, working with young people in particular. And since she came on board, here's some of the things that we've been able to accomplish. We looked at how we distributed grant money, VOCA grants, victim of crime assistance dollars that we get from federal authorities. And we tried to look at how we can make that money more available to different organizations doing incredible work all across our state. And several months ago, we released about $60 million to set up these types of community-based programs to help victims, to include young people across our state. And $20 million, right? Or 60? 60. And then recently, we did $20 million to set up hospital-based violence interruption programs. Places where people, if they're brought after a traumatic event, can then get the care that they need to deal with that trauma and to get out of those cycles of violence that they might then find themselves in. And that's just two examples of what we've done. We've also seeded recent programs in Atlantic City to create more police athletic leagues, things that we used to do a long time ago, things that brought kids into a safe place and taught them coping mechanisms, and at the same time taught them boxing skills and other sports skills, and really kept them out of dangerous situations and forced them to figure out ways to deal with violence instead of resorting to violence, deal with conflict instead of resorting to violence. And those are just a couple of examples, but there are other examples all across this state that we're also learning from and that we're hoping to replicate. And I couldn't be more proud to have sat down with Chief Lusner when he first started in this role to hear about the summer camp that he established, to hear about the Handle with Care program that he brought on board in his municipality, to hear about things that Chris Yakum has done at the DEA with the CARES program. And we have other great police leaders across the state doing incredible work as well. We have Newark Police Director Anthony Ambrose, who's set up his own care program, who's set up his own trauma-informed approaches to dealing with violence and criminal activity in his city. And then I don't know if Chief Earl is here. Oh, there he is. And so Chief Earl is here from Gloucester, and for 33 years has done nothing but incredible work in that department, in that city, to improve the lives of young people, and is now retiring. And so I want to thank you for your many years of service, and thank you for really changing the conversation when it comes to this issue. Thank you for the Third Gear Policing Initiative. Thank you for all the other summer programs and activities that you have set up down in Gloucester. All of this I share with you because they provide a model and a roadmap, as we sat down several months ago to talk about, as to what we should be doing. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have successful programs all across the state that are going to help us disrupt those cycles of violence. So, Chief, thank you for your leadership. I wish you nothing but the best in retirement. And if you need a place to work, we'd love to have you with us. You've got a spot next to you to help us improve the lives of young people. So thank you so much for your incredible service. So, I have really nothing more than those few remarks to share with you this morning. I was going to be shorter, but since the introduction went so long, I felt compelled to say a few more words. But I think what you should take away from this afternoon and this morning's programs is that we are all committed here in law enforcement and education to break these cycles that we're seeing all across the state. We understand the issue, the science is there. We have a mutual commitment to partner with each other to address this issue. And that gives me so much hope. I am optimistic not because I have to be, but because you are in this room today, committing to addressing this issue for what it is. It's something that's proven out in the science, and it's something that where we have, our keynote will talk about, proven techniques to counter. As Chief Lusner will talk about later, we have roadmaps to create trauma-informed communities. And with all of those efforts, I am confident that together we'll improve public safety in this state by dealing with adverse childhood experiences. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having me for a few minutes this morning. And thank you for your commitment to this particular issue. Thanks.